Funny cars are the finest exhibition of horsepower and speed going right now.
We like funny cars because they're fast.
There's a lot of action.
Power.
Lots of horsepower, real fast. They're wrathful.
They're really
I like
neat
that.
looking.
And they're just ground shaking.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire!
Welcome back to our channel and welcome to our second update. And I would have added this to the first update, but I didn't want like a really long video, so I just broke it up into two videos. But we are on step number 2, starting 3. 3 is putting the wires on and some other things. We'll start with the Hemi first. We've got well, we got the oil pan on, the valve covers on, heads on, some of the pulleys, fuel pump, intake, and the fire shield on there, firewall. And not too bad at all. We've used several paints so far on the engine. The block is just craft acrylic black. I went with black because I have two pictures of the real car with the body lifted up, and I really couldn't see that well the engine, but to me it looked like it was black, so I went with a black block, and that's what we got. The oil pan, you have to be careful because these valve covers ain't dry. The oil pan is duplicolor. It's Ford color. It's sunburst gold on the oil pan. The timing cover and front cover it's Krylon Shortcuts, but it's called chrome, but it's really much more closer to aluminum. So we've got the timing cover, the engine, the front cover, both pulleys, and the fuel pump here, all done in that same color. Then we used, to me, a clear red and blue on the fuel pump. We used a clear red on the top pulley, the center pulley, just cause a little bit of color in there, break some of that aluminum up. The intake is Model Master's titanium, which is like a dark gray metallic. And then the valve covers I stripped, primed them in gray, and then used this paint here, which is another Krylon color. It's called Premium Metallic. It's brighter than their silver paint, brighter than what they call chrome, which is aluminum. I wouldn't say it's like a plating, but it is much brighter, and it makes a great color for valve covers. So we used that on the valve covers on the Hemi, and that's what you see here after they were stripped and primed. I recommend using primer with this paint. It seems to flow much better, and go with really light coats. I mean, Krylon is usually a thin paint anyway, but you want to go with several light coats to get a better, smoother finish, closer to chrome. But this is pretty good paint. I really like it. I used it before. I used the gold version of it, and I really liked it. So I went out and got a silver version, or a chrome version, and it does a pretty good job. It really does. It's not that expensive too, and you get a lot of paint for your money. That'll do many model parts. So we've got that on the valve covers. So that is the block. That's looking pretty spiffy. I got the oil fitting there in the tweezers. You need to glue that onto the oil pan, and then we've got the distributor put together and painted. That's right here. We've got that done in the test, or the model Krylon shortcuts, the chrome, which is actually, as I said before, closer to aluminum. So we just got to paint the cap, and then we can put that in the block, because our next step is wiring up the engine and adding some oil lines to the oil pan and stuff. So, but there we go. Looking pretty spiffy, I think, on the Hemi. We got the slicks done. I was while I was waiting for all this to dry, I decided to go ahead and put the slicks together. We got them put together, and we got them roughed up. I used about 80 grit on these. The rougher the better is all I can say, because if you've never seen a real slick before, especially after one pass, they're pretty chewed up. So the rougher you can get these, the better. So this is about 80 grit, or 100 grit, I'm sorry. This is about 100 grit. And then we chewed them up a little bit. The inserts that are on the back side of these, remember these are two-piece, you have an insert on the back side. You're going to have to take a little bit off the insert. They're just a little too tall for the slick. They stick up. Just a small amount. I would say about a 1/16 of an inch at best. So you have to take a little bit off, and then they'll fit right down in there flush with the slick. So you have to do that. So we've done that to both of these, and then we'll put the seam on the back side, obviously, so you're not going to see the seam. And then the front side, there's the front side of the slick, which we went over with the 100 grit. So those are looking pretty good. We'll trim up a little bit more, and then we'll be, I think, in good shape. So that's the slicks. I don't think the kit has decals for the tires or the slicks. Let me look here. No, they don't. So I don't know. If I can swing it, I might go online and look for 1/16 scale lettering and put some lettering on the slicks. Goodyear, or I mean, I think usually when I saw his car, it always said Goodyear. So we'll look for some Goodyear decals to put on the slicks. So that is the slicks and the engine. We've got the body and primer, gray primer. This is Bright Touch primer. Let me swap here. Let me get this out the way. Not too bad. Bodywork came out really good. I'm really happy with the bodywork. I didn't have too much to touch up. I did have to touch up right here. You can't even see it. Did have to touch up right there. I didn't have the filler enough on there, and you can still see kind of like a dip between the bumper and the fender. There shouldn't be any seams or anything on this body, because these were a one-piece fiberglass body, so everything was molded on, so you shouldn't have a seam anywhere. So we've got all the seam work taken care of. Front end looks pretty good. This side looks pretty good. Back looks spiffy. Here's the back. Underneath here looks pretty good, where we had to kind of build it up a little bit. And yeah, it all looks pretty good, other than just this one area where we had to didn't get enough filler. And then when I painted this body, we had 95 out, I think. Pretty hot. And the primer is just about dry as it was coming out of the can. So even though I got close to the body and slowed down my passes, there's some areas where you get that powdery kind of sandy finish, and that's mainly because the primer is dry before it hits the body. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to take this body and wet sand it with 600 and get rid of any area that has that powdery kind of feel, which is on the side. I think there's a spot right there, and we'll just wet sand it with 600 and get it all smooth as a baby's butt, and then it'll be ready for paint, I believe. So the body's looking pretty spiffy, I think. We got our paint in, so that's a good thing. The paint we're going to be using is Tamiya, their lacquer. I tried to get a hold of Tester's Lime Ice, but nobody has it. Nobody carries it. Everywhere I look, it says discontinued. So it's like, terrific. I had a can of that too, but I had to throw it away. It was almost a brand new can. You know how Tester's had that issue with crap leaking out the bottom here at the seam, and you get all this gunk come out? Well, that's what happened to my Lime Ice can. So it's like, well, I'm not going to chance it, so I just do it in the shake can. So I had to get this Tamiya, their TS52. They call it candy lime green. I figured, well, that's close enough. In a rattle can. I mean, I could have got like some other kind of paint and used my airbrush, but I just wasn't feeling it. Not for a body this size. For a body this size, it's easier just to use a rattle can. And I have to dick around with an airbrush and heating up my compressor, because it would be running quite a bit trying to paint a body this size. I guess I could change my tip so it sprays more paint, but I just wasn't feeling it on this. Thought, it's much easier just using a rattle can. So we got this. This is as close as I can get. As I said, I wanted the Tester's Lime Ice instead, but well. So I got 2 cans of it just to make sure I had enough. And we'll use this on it. And I think it'll be pretty cool. It's not as bright as the cap is. I've seen other cars painted with this color, and it's not as bright as the cap, so it'll be a little darker than this, which is good. I think it'll be okay. It'll be close enough for my shelf. So that's the paint. Finally got that in. So once we get a good day that's got low humidity, then we'll paint the body. But as I said, I have to wet sand it first, and then we'll be okay. I think that's all I got. Is that all I got? That's all I got. Okay. We're on step number 3, and that's it now for the Vega. Hope you enjoy the kit. Wonderful kit. I highly recommend it. I know Atlantis is making a second run, so if you missed out on the first run, you'll be given a second chance to get one of these. And yeah, pretty cool. I think the last funny car I built was in my late teens. It was the Revell Charger, the Gene Snow Charger. That was the last funny car I built. I think I was either a junior or senior in high school. So it's been a while. Alrighty guys, that's it. I'm rambling. Take care. We'll see you.